A few videos back, I shared with all of you 3 manga series that you could easily binge read in a day. Series that contain 5 or less volumes, a short commitment with maximum enjoyment. But what if you're looking for something even shorter, even less commitment but still just as enjoyable? Like maybe a single volume manga series, just a few chapters and you're done? Well, if that's the case, then you've clicked on the right video, because today I'll be sharing 3 single volume manga series that I think are really worth the read. Whether you're looking for something low-key that you can easily put down and pick up again, something thought-provoking despite the short length, or something you'll want to come back and reread over and over again, I got you covered. Before we get started though, I'd like to welcome you to MangAnalysis, where I do little reviews of the manga I've been reading. If you like what you see and would like to see more, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, maybe even leave a comment. Let's get a conversation going. Quick little disclaimer, I won't be going too deep into these books since they're short, which makes avoiding spoilers a little difficult the more I talk about them. Alright, well with that being said, let's get started. A Girl on the Shore by Inio Asano. I just want to say real quick that I could have easily made this entire video just about Inio Asano books. I love the man and I love his works. I was actually going to do this video a few weeks ago, but I wanted to wait until I had read this book Downfall, assuming it would probably make this list. And I'm so sad I did, because I really didn't like that book and I never really want to talk about it in a video. Anyway, all to say, I'm only picking one book from Inio Asano today, but I absolutely love Solanine and Nijigahara Holograph. Those are 2 awesome single volume stories that I can easily recommend. So, A Girl on the Shore. The plot is pretty simple, yet difficult to describe. It follows 2 teenagers, Kume and Keisuke, who are navigating the complexities of teenagehood in a sleepy little coastal town. The series tackles tons of pretty serious issues that I remember going through myself as a teenager, such as romance, sex, relationships, family, school, bullying, peer pressure, and a few more things. Keisuke has feelings for Kume, and she has feelings for some popular boy who doesn't really like her. Together they decide to explore their sexuality while trying to become people their crushes might like, but that's only really at the beginning. It wouldn't really be an Asano book though without some thick layered nihilism and philosophical tormenting unabashedly thrown at our protagonist. A Girl on the Shore is a serious, complex, challenging coming-of-age story, one of teenagers trying to figure out what life means to them and what they feel they can do in attempts to make it, trying not to get caught up by the monotonous boredom of living in a small town that threatens to consume them all. There are a few other underlying plot threads that move the story along, but I don't want to get too much into those since they don't matter too much. The long and short of it though is 2 teenagers use sexual experimentation as a way to not have to focus on all their other issues, which fills them with anxiety, depression, and maybe leads them to have an unhealthy relationship with sex and one another. I don't know if I did a great job recommending this book, but it was my first Asano experience, so it has some sentimental value, and it gave me tons to think about, and it's one book I keep coming back to every now and again, and each time I read it, I discover something more. Add to that the beautiful Asano art style and incredibly believable, eerily realistic characters, and you've got yourself quite a wonderful experience. Great book. The God's Lie by Kare Ozaki. I actually mentioned another series by this author in my video about short series. This author also wrote The Golden Sheep, which is another short series I recommend. The God's Lie is about a 6th grader, Natsuru, who really enjoys soccer, but is having a hard time at soccer camp. He starts flaking, hanging out about the town, and meets Rio, a young girl his age. Rio is aloof and gloomy and has a mysterious air about her. At first, Rio wants nothing to do with Natsuru, but after agreeing to foster a cat from him, they become good friends. Turns out Rio lives alone with her little brother, and she has Natsuru promise him not to tell anything about her living situations to anyone, since she's afraid child welfare could take her and her brother away. This, however, is not Rio's only big secret. So just like The Golden Sheep, The God's Lie is a pretty dark tale. Dark enough to make you uncomfortable, but not really dark enough to throw you off. It wasn't the case for me anyway. This one hit home particularly a lot for me since growing up I didn't really have the easiest living arrangements, so I could really relate to Rio, but also with Natsuru due to his feelings of alienation towards his passion, soccer. There was a time in my life where I didn't know if I wanted to draw anymore, and that kind of messed me up. What The God's Lie delivers on is some intense development in a short amount of time. It spans a summer where these 2 characters are going through the worst time of their lives, and they come out of it pretty much different people. The end of the book doesn't come with some magical resolution, but the promise of something more, which is actually what I was expecting from such a short book. The bond these 2 characters develop over the story is one born of trauma, yet never does it feel like a cheap, quick method to get these 2 kids to form a relationship. It is done tastefully, and while it doesn't go into incredible depth due to its short run, it does convey everything it's going for very well. The story takes you across some pretty heavy topics such as depression, parental neglect, bullying, and much more that I can't really talk about due to spoilers. Despite that, I still really enjoyed reading the story. The art is very cutesy, which contrasts the dark themes really well, sort of reflecting in a way what could be considered the innocence of these characters that are thrown into such horrible events. I don't know if I'm reading too deep into that one, but that's the impression I got anyway. So there you have it, another easy recommendation that's only a volume long. Love on the Other Side by Nagabe. Finally, something a little different, a collection of short stories. Nagabe is most known for his incredible work on The Girl from the Other Side. I love that story, and when I saw that they released other books, I didn't even hesitate to pick them up. The one I'll be talking about today is Love on the Other Side. There is another one, The Wise Beasts of the Wizarding Wisdoms, which is also a collection of short stories, and I think it's just as good. That one, however, focuses on boy love, furry love stories, which is not for everyone. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have picked it up if I would have read the summary, but I didn't. I just blindly bought it, and I'm glad I did, because it was very enjoyable. And back to today's book, Love on the Other Side. This book is essentially just a collection of short stories, all dealing with love and all dealing with human-animal relationships. Wait, don't leave. I promise, it's really wholesome. Does it help if some of the animals are humanoids and wear clothes? Seriously, I love this book. The art is fantastic, and if you can look past the whole animal thing, which honestly you shouldn't because most are suave and elegant and would be characters you'd be proud to introduce to your parents, then the love stories remaining are absolutely wonderful. Most of these little stories actually feature the animals as more human than the actual human beings. For example, there's this aristocratic looking wolf who takes a feral child, which leads to some amusing dilemmas. There's another where a man-eating bird thing is raising a child with the goal of eating it, only for some good old Stockholm Syndrome to come into play and make the bird maybe want to not eat the child, which is always good, I guess. Seriously, for the art alone, I could easily recommend this, but I must stress that the whole animal thing, while very much there in your face, is also very charming and allows for some good discourse about what it means to be human and what makes animals animals. Very, very good stuff. So there it is, 3 single volume manga series that I can easily recommend. If you like The Girl on the Shore, please check out Asano's other works such as Solanin and Injigahara Holograph. Both are great little stories, and Holograph in particular will prove to be a piece of literature unlike anything you've ever read, I'm certain. Similarly, if you like Love on the Other Side, make sure to check out Nagabe's other works, such as The Girl from the Other Side and The Wise Beasts of the Wizarding Wisdoms. I've said it before, sometimes I don't want to read a giant series. It can be overwhelming, but sometimes even 3 books just seems like a tad too much. What if you just want to read something in its entirety right before bed? In those cases, being able to read 1 volume and call it a day is perfect. Now, I'd like your recommendations. I haven't read too many single volume manga series, so if you could recommend some to me, that would be absolutely lovely. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and if you did indeed enjoy it, consider subscribing. This was MangAnalysis, and I'll see you in the next one.